Ladies and gentlemen, imagine standing on the edge of a vast ocean looking out at the endless horizon. There is no map, no guarantee of what lies ahead, but a single choice remains: to trust the tide and take the first step forward. This is the essence of self-belief. We often imprison ourselves within walls of doubt constructed from fears we mistake for truth. These limitations are illusions, fleeting shadows of our own making. Self-belief is the light that reveals these shadows for what they are: temporary, insubstantial, and powerless when faced with clarity. To believe in oneself is not to claim certainty. It is rather to embrace uncertainty with open arms, to walk into the unknown, knowing that the same force that spins the galaxies dwells within you. You are not separate from the world. You are as integral to this universe as the stars, as the rivers, as the breeze that dances through the trees. Within each of us flows an inner rhythm, a quiet whisper of intuition guiding us toward our purpose. Self-belief is not a loud proclamation, but a silent alignment with this flow. It is a trust in your unique way of being, even when the world seems to push you in another direction. And what a failure! So often we fear the stumble, the fall, the misstep. But failure is not the antagonist of belief, it is its partner. It is through falling that we learn to rise, through error that we find wisdom, and through struggle that we build strength. The dance of life is incomplete without these moments. True self-belief, however, transcends the ego. It is not the arrogance of thinking we are invincible, but the quiet confidence of knowing we are resilient. It is a connection to something greater, an acknowledgement that we are supported by the same forces that sustain the cosmos. So I invite you to trust in yourself, not as an isolated being, but as a vital part of a larger whole. Walk forward not with the need to know every step, but with the courage to take the next one. For self-belief is not about certainty, it is about trust, about presence, and about the unshakable truth that you are enough just as you are. Thank you. The notion of limitation is deeply ingrained in the human psyche, woven into the stories we tell ourselves and the frameworks we use to interpret the world. From an early age, we are introduced to the concept of boundaries, lines drawn to demarcate what is possible and what is not. These lines, initially meant to guide us, often solidify into walls, shaping the way we see ourselves and the scope of our potential. Yet when examined closely, many of these boundaries reveal themselves to be nothing more than illusions, constructs of the mind rather than unchanging truths. Consider how often we hesitate to pursue a dream, not because it is inherently unattainable, but because we have convinced ourselves it is beyond reach. We tell ourselves stories of inadequacy: I'm not smart enough, I lack the resources, or it's too late for me. These narratives, repeated often enough, become self-fulfilling prophecies, not because they reflect reality, but because they define the limits of our actions. What we fail to realize is that the mind, in its incredible capacity for creativity, is equally adept at creating prisons as it is at creating possibilities. The illusion of limitation often stems from a misunderstanding of failure and effort. We are conditioned to see mistakes as evidence of our incompetence, rather than as natural steps in the process of growth. This mindset creates a fear of trying, a reluctance to step outside the confines of what feels safe. Yet, when we pause to examine this fear, we discover it is built on shaky ground. No child learns to walk without falling. No artist creates a masterpiece without first creating something flawed. And no person achieves greatness without moments of doubt and difficulty along the way. Another source of this illusion is comparison. In a world saturated with images of success, often curated and idealized, it becomes all too easy to measure ourselves against others. We look at the achievements of those around us, and instead of finding inspiration, we find reasons to diminish our own worth. They're better, we think. They've had advantages I could never have. These comparisons, however, are fundamentally flawed. They ignore the uniqueness of each person's journey, the unseen struggles, and the personal victories that may not be visible from the outside. More importantly, they divert our attention from the one thing we truly have control over: our own path. This illusion is also reinforced by societal expectations. The world around us often presents a narrow definition of success, encouraging us to fit into predefined roles and discouraging us from exploring alternative possibilities. When we internalize these expectations, we begin to see any deviation from them as a failure. The truth, however, is that these societal norms are arbitrary, shaped by historical and cultural contexts that are constantly changing. What is considered unconventional or risky today may very well be celebrated tomorrow. Breaking free from the illusion of limitation requires a shift in perspective. It involves questioning the stories we tell ourselves and examining their origins. Are they based on personal experience, or have they been inherited from others? Are they rooted in facts, or are they assumptions we've never challenged? This process of inquiry can be uncomfortable, as it forces us to confront deeply held beliefs. However, it is also liberating, as it reveals the vast potential that lies beyond the walls we've constructed. A powerful way to dismantle these illusions is to recognize their fluid nature. Limits are not fixed, they are malleable, shaped by our actions and beliefs. What once seemed impossible becomes achievable with time, effort, and a willingness to learn. History is filled with examples of individuals who defied conventional wisdom, achieving feats that were deemed unattainable. Their stories remind us that the boundaries we perceive are often reflections of our current understanding, not the ultimate reality. The key is to approach these boundaries with curiosity rather than fear. Instead of asking, "Can I do this?" we can ask, "What would it take to do this?" This shift in mindset transforms challenges into opportunities for growth, allowing us to explore new possibilities without the weight of self-doubt. It is an invitation to experiment, to take risks, and to discover what lies beyond the edges of our comfort zones. Equally important is the realization that the journey itself is as valuable as the destination. When we focus solely on outcomes, we risk missing the lessons and experiences that come from the process of striving. Each step, no matter how small, contributes to our growth, helping us develop the skills, resilience, and self-awareness needed to navigate future challenges. In this sense, the act of pursuing our potential is itself a testament to our capability, a reminder that we are more than the limitations we once believed in. The illusion of limitation can also be addressed by embracing the interconnectedness of life. Often we view ourselves as isolated individuals, cut off from the vast web of relationships and influences that shape our existence. This perspective fosters a sense of scarcity, as though opportunities are finite and must be carefully guarded. However, when we recognize our connection to the broader universe, we begin to see that resources, ideas, and support are abundant. This realization fosters a sense of trust, both in ourselves and in the world around us, enabling us to move forward with confidence. Letting go of the illusion of limitation is not about denying challenges or pretending that success comes easily. It is about seeing challenges for what they are: temporary obstacles, not permanent barriers. It is about understanding that limitations are not imposed upon us by some external force, but are often the result of our own perceptions. By shifting these perceptions, we open the door to possibilities that were once hidden from view. Uncertainty is an inescapable part of life, woven into the very fabric of existence. Yet, despite its inevitability, it often evokes fear, anxiety, and a sense of vulnerability. From childhood, we are conditioned to seek stability and certainty as though they are synonymous with safety. We crave clear answers, predictable outcomes, and a roadmap to the future that eliminates the need for risk or doubt. This desire for control is deeply human, but it is also limiting. When we reject uncertainty, we inadvertently reject the very essence of growth, creativity, and the possibility of discovering our fullest potential. To understand uncertainty, we must first acknowledge its dual nature. It is not inherently negative, it is neither an enemy nor a friend, but a neutral force that we imbue with meaning based on our perspective. In its most basic form, uncertainty is simply the space where the known ends and the unknown begins. It is the realm where potential resides, where new ideas are born, and where transformation takes place. Without uncertainty, life would be static, predictable, and devoid of the spontaneity that makes it vibrant and meaningful. The resistance to uncertainty often stems from the illusion that we can predict and control every aspect of our lives. We build routines, establish plans, and cling to familiar patterns in an effort to create a sense of order. While these structures can provide comfort, they can also become cages, restricting our ability to adapt and evolve. Life, in its infinite complexity, does not adhere to rigid frameworks. It flows, shifts, and surprises, reminding us time and again that our attempts to confine it are futile. When we begin to embrace uncertainty, we open ourselves to the possibility of seeing it as an ally rather than an adversary. This shift in perspective requires courage, the courage to let go of the need for guarantees and to trust in our ability to navigate whatever comes our way. It is not about abandoning planning or foresight, but about recognizing that no plan is foolproof and no prediction infallible. It is about cultivating a mindset of flexibility, curiosity, and openness to the unexpected. One of the most profound lessons uncertainty teaches us is the importance of presence. When we dwell on the past, we are often consumed by regret or nostalgia. When we focus too intently on the future, we invite worry and speculation. Uncertainty, however, anchors us in the present moment. It reminds us that the only thing we can truly influence is the here and now. By fully engaging with the present, we find a sense of clarity and calm that transcends the fear of the unknown. Uncertainty also has a way of revealing our inner strength. In moments of doubt or challenge, we are forced to confront our fears and draw upon reserves of resilience we may not have realized we possessed. It is in these moments that we discover the depth of our capacity to adapt, to persevere, and to grow. The discomfort of uncertainty becomes a crucible, shaping us into more capable and self-aware individuals. At its core, uncertainty is a teacher. It challenges our assumptions, pushes out of our comfort zones, and compels us to ask deeper questions about who we are and what we value. It is often in the midst of uncertainty that we find the clarity to redefine our priorities, to let go of what no longer serves us, and to pursue paths we might not have considered otherwise. In this sense, uncertainty is not a barrier to self-belief, but a catalyst for it. Another important aspect of uncertainty is its role in fostering creativity and innovation. The greatest achievements in art, science, and human endeavor have often emerged from a willingness to explore the unknown. Creativity thrives in the absence of certainty, where boundaries are blurred and possibilities are endless. When we embrace uncertainty, we give ourselves permission to experiment, to take risks, and to imagine new ways of being. The fear of uncertainty often arises from a fixation on outcomes. We want assurances that our efforts will be rewarded, that our risks will pay off, and that the choices we make will lead to success. This focus on results, however, can blind us to the value of the journey itself. Uncertainty invites us to shift our attention from the destination to the process, to find meaning and joy in the act of striving, rather than in the promise of arriving. It is also worth noting that uncertainty is a shared experience, one that connects us to others in profound ways. Every person, regardless of their circumstances, grapples with the unknown. This shared vulnerability creates opportunities for empathy, collaboration, and mutual support. When we recognize that we are not alone in facing uncertainty, it becomes less daunting and more manageable. Finally, uncertainty reminds us of the impermanence of all things. This realization can be unsettling, but it can also be liberating. When we accept that nothing is fixed, we are freed from the need to cling to the illusion of permanence. We learn to appreciate the fleeting beauty of each moment, to let go of what we cannot control, and to move forward with a sense of trust in the unfolding of life. The belief that we are separate from the universe is one of the most pervasive illusions in human thought. From the moment we begin to form an understanding of the world, we are taught to distinguish between self and other, between me and everything else. This dualistic perspective creates a sense of isolation, a feeling that we are solitary entities navigating a vast, indifferent universe. Yet when we look closer beyond the surface of these distinctions, we discover a deeper truth: we are not separate from the universe, but inseparably woven into its fabric. Consider the most basic elements of our existence. The air we breathe, the water we drink, and the food we consume all come from the natural world. Our bodies are composed of the same elements that make up the stars, the oceans, and the soil. Every cell, every molecule within us is a continuation of the processes that have been unfolding since the beginning of time. To say that we are separate from the universe is to overlook the fundamental interconnectedness that sustains our very being. This interconnectedness is not merely physical, it extends to the realm of energy and consciousness. The thoughts we think, the emotions we feel, and the actions we take ripple outward, influencing the world around us in ways we may not always perceive. Similarly, the environment we inhabit shapes our experiences, molding our perceptions and guiding our choices. This dynamic interplay blurs the boundaries between self and other, revealing that what we do to the world, we ultimately do to ourselves. The idea of separateness is further reinforced by the language we use. Words like I, mine, and yours create artificial divisions, implying ownership and individuality where there is, in fact, a continuum. While language is a powerful tool for communication, it is also a lens through which we view reality, and it can distort our understanding of our place within the whole. When we identify too strongly with these labels, we risk losing sight of the larger picture that we are participants in an intricate, interconnected system. Science, too, supports this understanding. Fields like quantum physics, ecology, and systems theory reveal the profound interdependence of all things. At the quantum level, particles are not isolated entities, but part of a web of relationships, their behavior influenced by the presence of others. In ecology, every organism is part of a complex network of interactions, relying on countless others for survival. These findings challenge the notion of separateness, inviting us to see ourselves not as isolated beings, but as integral components of a vast, interconnected whole. Recognizing our oneness with the universe transforms the way we approach self-belief. Instead of viewing ourselves as lone individuals striving to overcome external challenges, we begin to see ourselves as co-creators in a collaborative dance with life. This shift in perspective fosters a sense of trust not just in ourselves, but in the larger forces that guide and support us. It reminds us that we are not alone, that we are held by the same currents that move the stars and shape the tides. This understanding also changes how we perceive challenges and obstacles. When we see ourselves as separate, difficulties can feel overwhelming, as though we are fighting against an indifferent or hostile universe. But when we recognize our interconnectedness, these challenges take on a different meaning. They become opportunities to grow, to learn, and to align more deeply with the flow of life. We realize that the universe is not working against us, but with us, presenting us with the experiences we need to evolve. One of the most profound implications of this perspective is the realization that self-belief is not something we must generate in isolation. It is a natural extension of our relationship with the universe. When we trust in the interconnectedness of all things, self-belief arises effortlessly, rooted in the understanding that we are supported by forces far greater than ourselves. This trust allows us to move forward with confidence, even in the face of uncertainty, knowing that we are part of something vast and enduring. This sense of oneness also cultivates compassion and empathy. When we see ourselves as part of the whole, the suffering of others becomes our own, and their joy becomes our joy. This recognition dissolves the barriers that divide us, fostering a sense of unity and mutual support. It reminds us that our actions, no matter how small, have the power to contribute to the well-being of the collective. Furthermore, this interconnectedness calls us to a deeper sense of responsibility. When we understand that our lives are inextricably linked with the lives of others and the health of the planet, we are inspired to act with greater awareness and care. Self-belief in this context is not about individual achievement, but about fulfilling our unique role within the larger tapestry of existence. To truly grasp this interconnectedness requires a shift in awareness. It asks us to look beyond the surface of things, to see the invisible threads that bind us to the world around us. This shift is not always easy. It challenges deeply ingrained habits of thought and perception. But as we begin to embrace this perspective, we find that it transforms our experience of life, revealing a depth and richness that was previously hidden. This understanding is not something we must create or attain. It is already present, waiting to be recognized. It is evident in the rhythm of our breath, the beating of our hearts, and the cycles of nature that sustain us. It is reflected in the relationships we form, the creativity we express, and the sense of wonder that arises when we contemplate the mysteries of existence. Each of us carries within us an inner flow, an intuitive rhythm that guides the way we interact with the world. It is a subtle but powerful force, often drowned out by the noise of external demands, societal expectations, and the relentless chatter of the mind. Yet this flow is always present, a quiet current running beneath the surface, waiting to be acknowledged and trusted. It is unique to each individual, shaped by their experiences, passions, and inherent nature, and it holds the key to living authentically and fully. In many ways, this inner flow is a reflection of the larger flows of nature and the universe. Just as rivers carve their paths through the land, guided by gravity and terrain, we too are shaped by forces both internal and external. The flow within us is not static, it changes and evolves, responding to the circumstances of our lives and the choices we make. When we resist this flow, when we try to force ourselves into roles or paths that do not align with our nature, we create friction and struggle. But when we align with it, we find a sense of ease, purpose, and connection. One of the greatest challenges in recognizing and trusting this inner flow is the tendency to prioritize external validation over internal guidance. From an early age, we are taught to measure our worth by external standards, grades, achievements, appearances, and the approval of others. These metrics, while sometimes useful, can pull us away from our authentic selves. They encourage us to suppress our instincts and conform to expectations that may not resonate with who we truly are. Over time, this disconnection can leave us feeling lost, as though we are moving through life without a clear sense of direction. Reconnecting with the inner flow requires us to cultivate awareness and silence the external noise that so often dominates our attention. It asks us to listen not just with our ears, but with our entire being to the whispers of intuition that arise when we are still. This process can be uncomfortable, especially for those who are accustomed to constant activity and distraction. Yet it is in this stillness that we begin to hear the voice of our inner flow, guiding us toward what feels right and true. This flow often reveals itself in moments of alignment, when our actions, thoughts, and feelings are in harmony. These moments may be fleeting, but they are unmistakable. They are characterized by a sense of effortlessness, as though the universe itself is conspiring to support us. Time seems to lose its grip, and we become fully absorbed in what we are doing, whether it is creating art, solving a problem, or simply being present with loved ones. These experiences are not accidents, they are glimpses of what is possible when we align with our inner flow. However, trusting this flow does not mean life will always be easy or free of challenges. On the contrary, the path of alignment often involves facing difficulties and making choices that require courage and faith. There will be moments when the flow takes us in unexpected directions, leading us away from what is familiar and comfortable. These moments can be unsettling, as they challenge our assumptions and push us to grow. But they are also opportunities to deepen our trust in ourselves and the process of life. Another important aspect of aligning with the inner flow is the recognition that it is unique to each individual. What works for one person may not work for another, and what feels right for us today may change tomorrow. This is why comparison is such a dangerous trap. When we measure ourselves against others, we lose sight of our own rhythm and try to adopt patterns that may not suit us. True alignment requires us to honor our individuality, to embrace the fact that our journey will not look like anyone else's. This individuality extends to the way we experience success and fulfillment. For some, the flow may lead to grand achievements and public recognition. For others, it may manifest in quiet moments of connection and contentment. Neither is more valid than the other. The important thing is not the form that our flow takes, but the authenticity with which we follow it. When we trust our inner flow, we are free to define success on our own terms, rather than conforming to definitions imposed by others. It is also worth noting that the inner flow is not a linear path, but a dynamic process. It may take us in circles, bring us back to lessons we thought we had learned, or lead us through detours that seem unrelated to our goals. These twists and turns are not signs of failure, they are integral to the journey. Each experience, no matter how unexpected, contributes to our growth and understanding. The flow does not promise certainty or predictability, but it does promise richness and depth. To trust the inner flow is to let go of the need for control and certainty. It is to embrace the mystery of life, knowing that we are part of a larger rhythm that cannot always be understood or predicted. This trust is not blind faith, it is a grounded confidence in our ability to navigate whatever comes our way. It is the recognition that, while we cannot always see the destination, we can trust the process that is leading us there. This process requires patience and a willingness to surrender. It asks us to let go of rigid plans and expectations, to release the grip of fear and doubt, and to allow ourselves to be guided by something deeper than logic. This is not an easy task, especially in a world that values control and certainty above all else. But as we practice trusting our inner flow, we begin to experience the freedom and fulfillment that come from living in alignment with our true selves. Self-doubt is a shadow that follows even the brightest ambitions, creeping into moments of decision and casting a haze over opportunities. It is an insidious force, one that feeds on insecurities and magnifies perceived flaws. Yet, despite its persistence, Self-doubt is not an enemy to be eradicated, it is a signal, a mirror reflecting our uncertainties and fears. To confront self-doubt is not to suppress it, but to understand it, to see it for what it truly is, a construct of the mind, shaped by past experiences, external influences, and a misalignment with our inherent worth. The roots of self-doubt are often planted in childhood, in environments where perfection is valued over effort, or where failure is met with criticism rather than encouragement. These early experiences leave imprints on our psyche, teaching us to equate mistakes with inadequacy and to seek external validation as a measure of success. Over time, these patterns solidify into beliefs, and we carry them forward, often unaware of how deeply they shape our actions and decisions. Every stumble becomes evidence of our shortcomings, every rejection a confirmation of unworthiness. In this way, self-doubt becomes a self-perpetuating cycle, limiting our potential and narrowing our vision. Another significant source of self-doubt is the culture of comparison that permeates modern life. In an era dominated by curated portrayals of success, it is all too easy to measure ourselves against others and find ourselves lacking. We see the achievements of our peers and assume their paths were smooth and effortless, while our own struggles feel overwhelming and unique. What we fail to realize is that these comparisons are inherently flawed. They are based on incomplete information and distorted perceptions. The reality is that everyone faces challenges, doubts, and failures, even if they are hidden from view. Self-doubt is also fueled by a fear of the unknown. When faced with uncertainty, our minds often default to worst-case scenarios, imagining all the ways we could fail or fall short. This fear is not irrational, it is rooted in a natural instinct to protect ourselves from harm. However, in the context of personal growth and achievement, it can become a barrier, preventing us from taking risks or exploring new possibilities. The irony is that by avoiding these risks, we often reinforce the very fears we are trying to escape, remaining stuck in a cycle of inaction and regret. To address self-doubt, we must first recognize its impermanence. Doubts may feel overwhelming in the moment, but they are not fixed or unchangeable. They are thoughts, and like all thoughts, they can be questioned, challenged, and transformed. The first step in this process is awareness, becoming conscious of the narratives we tell ourselves and the assumptions we make about our abilities and worth. This awareness allows us to separate ourselves from our doubts, to see them not as truths but as perspectives that can be shifted. A powerful way to challenge self-doubt is through evidence. Our minds are naturally biased toward negativity, often fixating on failures while ignoring successes. By consciously reflecting on our achievements, however small, we can begin to build a more balanced and accurate self-image. This does not mean dismissing areas for improvement, but recognizing that our worth is not defined by any single moment or outcome. It is the sum of our efforts, resilience, and growth over time. Another antidote to self-doubt is action. Doubt thrives in stagnation, feeding on the inertia of indecision. When we take steps forward, even small ones, we disrupt this cycle and create momentum. Each action, no matter how modest, builds confidence and reinforces the belief that we are capable of overcoming challenges. This is not to say that action eliminates doubt entirely, but it diminishes its power, shifting the focus from fear to possibility. Equally important is the role of self-compassion. We are often our own harshest critics, holding ourselves to standards that we would never impose on others. Self-compassion invites us to treat ourselves with the same kindness and understanding that we would offer a friend. It reminds us that mistakes are not failures but opportunities to learn, and that self-worth is not contingent on perfection. By practicing self-compassion, we create a supportive inner dialogue that counters the harshness of self-doubt. Self-doubt can also be reframed as a sign of growth. The very presence of doubt often indicates that we are stepping outside our comfort zones, pushing ourselves to explore new territory. In this sense, doubt is not a weakness, but a marker of courage, a reminder that we are striving for something meaningful. When viewed through this lens, self-doubt becomes less intimidating and more empowering, a natural companion on the journey of personal development. Community plays a vital role in addressing self-doubt. Surrounding ourselves with supportive and encouraging individuals can provide perspective and reinforcement when our inner critic is loudest. Honest conversations with trusted friends, mentors, or peers remind us that we are not alone in our struggles, and that doubt is a shared human experience. These connections help us see ourselves through the eyes of others, offering a more balanced and compassionate view of our capabilities. Finally, addressing self-doubt requires patience. Changing deeply ingrained patterns of thought and behavior is not an overnight process, it is a journey that unfolds over time. There will be setbacks and moments of frustration, but these are part of the process, not indications of failure. Each step forward, no matter how small, is a testament to our strength and determination, a reminder that we are capable of moving beyond the limitations of self-doubt. Faith is often misunderstood as a concept tied solely to religion or spirituality, but at its core, it transcends those boundaries. It is a deeply personal and universal force, an intrinsic trust in something greater than oneself, a trust in life, in possibility, and in the unseen connections that weave through existence. Faith is not the absence of doubt or fear, it is the decision to move forward despite them. It is the quiet assurance that, even in the face of uncertainty and chaos, there is a purpose and order beyond what we can immediately perceive. To embrace faith is to surrender the illusion of control that so many of us cling to. We plan, we strategize, and we analyze, all in an attempt to predict and shape the outcomes of our lives. While these efforts have their place, they cannot account for the vast complexity of existence. Life does not operate according to our designs. It is a tapestry woven from countless threads of chance, choice, and interconnection. Faith asks us to trust this process, to believe that even when the path is unclear, we are being guided toward growth and fulfillment. This trust can be difficult to cultivate, especially in a world that values certainty and proof above all else. We are taught to rely on logic, evidence, and measurable results, and while these tools are valuable, they cannot address the full spectrum of human experience. Faith operates in the spaces between facts, in the moments when logic falters and the heart takes over. It is not a rejection of reason, but a complement to it, a recognition that there are truths that cannot be quantified or explained, but are no less real. Faith is deeply tied to resilience. It is what allows us to endure hardships, to rise after failure, and to keep moving forward when the way ahead is obscured. Without faith, setbacks can feel insurmountable, and the weight of adversity can crush the spirit. But with faith, even the darkest moments carry the seed of hope. Faith whispers that there is light beyond the shadows, that every trial is temporary, and that within each challenge lies the potential for transformation. This resilience is not about blind optimism or ignoring pain. It is about embracing the full spectrum of life's experiences with the understanding that they are all part of a larger journey. Faith teaches us that joy and sorrow, success and failure, love and loss are not opposites but complements, each enriching the other and contributing to the depth of our existence. To have faith is to trust that every experience, no matter how difficult, has something to teach us, and that each moment is a step toward a greater wholeness. Faith also calls us to relinquish the need for immediate answers. In a society that prizes instant gratification, this can be a daunting task. We want clarity, solutions, and results, often before they are ready to emerge. But life unfolds in its own time, and faith is the patience to wait, the willingness to sit with uncertainty and trust that clarity will come when it is meant to. This patience is not passive, it is an active engagement with the present moment, a commitment to show up fully even when the outcome is unknown. Another essential aspect of faith is its relationship with courage. To have faith is to take risks, to step into the unknown with the belief that we will find our footing. It is the courage to pursue our dreams even when they seem out of reach, and to follow our intuition even when it defies conventional wisdom. Faith does not eliminate fear, it transforms it, turning hesitation into action and uncertainty into opportunity. It empowers us to move forward, not because we are certain of success, but because we trust in the value of the journey itself. Faith is also a reminder of our interconnectedness.